From Tally to Cali,
It's time
to wake up.
Wake up! Wake up!
Warchant.com is your ultimate Seminole sports source.
And this is Wake Up Warchant, presented by Cummins.
Now here's Warchant.com's Aslan Hajavandi
And Corey Clark.
Wake up! It's Wake Up Warchant presented by Cummins. Coming up on today's show, long exit interview with Luke. Corey breaks it down. Football focus. Year 2 jumps. Do they have the money? And historical what ifs. It's the mailbag. Let's go. Wake Up Warchant is presented by Cummins. CumminsLifestyle. It is the mailbag. We're going to give away another opportunity to get an entry into the ultimate tailgate giveaway that's going to be dropping around August-ish. You pick the game. 20 folks at your tailgate. You'll have a hotel room the weekend of the game. Again, you pick the game. Bartender, tables, chairs, tent, television, energy, power. Cummins, a world power leader. Follow him on Instagram. CumminsLifestyle, all one word. Warchant.com still running the spring sale. 50% off an annual membership. You get everything. You don't get just half access. You get access to everything over at Warchant.com. All the national content, all the national recruiting content. You can even kind of check in on what's going on with the Florida boards, the Miami boards, Ohio State boards, Texas boards, UCLA, Colorado. I mean, we're everywhere. On 3, we've got you covered. Warchant.com got the Noles covered like nobody else. Real quick thing that I let slide yesterday, Corey. You wish Jake Weinberg well in his future endeavors.
Okay.
He is at Miami now.
I hope you miss every kick, you Benedict Arnold.
Okay.
There you go. Is that better? He's at Miami? Wow. How about that? How about that?
Mario's got a weird thing about taking guys that kind of fell out of bad favor at their previous school. I think the kicker he ended up sticking with was from like FAU, and he was a walk-on there. They signed the Burt Auburn kid from Texas that kind of got yips or whatever, and then they were going after Jake Weinberg, who did not make like a substantial – he kicked a field goal against Alabama that mattered. Yeah. But, after August –
obviously, the leg talent is there. He's got a huge leg, guys. You saw it on kickoffs. You didn't see so much in his field goals, but he has an enormous leg, so the talent is there. It's just, it's hard when you're a freshman with that kind of pressure. And they played in a lot of close games, especially on the road, and they needed every point they could get, and that puts a lot of pressure on you. So we'll see how he does at Miami.
Gabe Panikowski steps in, fills the void. This show will fill the void now the basketball season's over to a certain degree, although the tournament does start.
Hey, the cat's up next to my new work done jersey. There's Finnick, everyone.
All right, there we go. By the way, we'll go full screen, Corey. It's the mailbag show, so this whole thing is on video. You should check out the YouTube version after you're done listening to the podcast. We got a cat. We got a legendary jersey appearance. We got a beautiful estate in the background.
We're trying. Look, we're in flux. Still trying to get the podcast room ready to be shown. But we're getting the trinkets. We're getting the stuff that we want in there. The Warwick Dunn jersey. I also have a Peter Warwick jersey, so it's going to say Warwick Dunn over my shoulders when it's all finished. But the problem with the Warwick Dunn jersey is people that are old enough, like I am, like you almost are. We all know that's not the jersey he wore.
Correct.
Yeah, that's the modern day jersey that just has his number and name on it because there wasn't really any way to go get an old school 1996 Florida State jersey with his name on it because back then they didn't sell players' names.
Right.
So you could get a 28, but it wouldn't have Dunn on it.
I know, but we all know who it is, though, Corey.
I know, but still, I want his name. I wanted the Warwick and the Dunn. I wanted them next to each other, so that's where we
could have got a nameplate created, but nonetheless. All right, it is the mailbag. We got lots to get to. Before we get to it, give you a minute or so. The combined no-no, I did include that in the show yesterday, Corey. Your thoughts maybe on that, Florida State being Bethune, run ruling them. And then you were hanging out with Luke Laux and Matt Lasser to a lesser degree. But I guess Luke had kind of like a end-of-season overview, exit interview with the media on Wednesday. What was the big messages from that, you think?
Yeah, well, first he wanted to address again the NIT, the decision to not play in the NIT, and he made it apparent again that he wanted to play in it, but he left it up to his seniors because they're the ones that play, and they're the ones that got him there. And the seniors didn't want to do it, and he said he was disappointed by it, but he understood. He respected their decision. He's not going to force people to play that don't want to play. And he also said that he got a lot of, not a lot, but some like vitriolic kind of rude messages, him and his wife. And I'm like, why would Florida State fans care that much?
It's
bizarre to me. I don't understand it.
I don't either. I mean, people are equating it to like, this is like a quitting culture. Like you don't, what? It's the NIT, man.
It's the NIT.
It was Wichita in Wyoming yesterday.
Yeah. UC Irvine is playing UNLV. Look, man, it is for the whole season. These guys play in games that matter, trying to get to their ultimate goal, which is to win the NCAA tournament. And the beauty, or get into the NCAA tournament and then win it, I guess. The beauty of college basketball is you do have a chance you have to go win in the postseason, but it is available to you. It is the carrot that's out there, the dangled carrot of if you win enough, if you win your conference tournament, you get to go play, even if you haven't had a great year. Florida State made such a run at the end of the year, played so well, came within 1 point of beating Duke, that they put it all on the line trying to get to their ultimate goal of getting to the NCAA tournament. They are not, nor am I, but most importantly, they are not interested in then going and playing in front of 2,000 people in a game that does not matter. It is pure exhibition. There is no ultimate goal at the end of the line. What, you're going to hoist an NIT championship? Quick, Aslan, name me the last 5 winners of the NIT. Can you name one of the last 5?
Vanderbilt. No, I'm just kidding.
Nobody knows that.
No,
Unless you are a fan of those teams, nobody knows anything about the NIT. It does not matter at all. Now, Luke wanted to play because Luke likes to compete. These guys, he said some of them, they were playing through some things. They were playing through some pain. And it's like you could say, yeah, buck it up, play another couple of games. To what end? To what end? There's no carrot out there. You're going to be playing meaningless games while teams that you're better than are playing in the real tournament, playing for something that actually matters. You get Xavier right.
Oh, look at that. Lucky guess.
Look at who won it last year, Aslan. Chattanooga beat UC Irvine.
Yeah.
It is a pointless
I do think North Texas tournament. I think North Texas ended up making the tournament last year or the year before, so maybe they would say that playing in the NIT got them, more reps together.
But would that matter with a team full of 6 seniors?
Yeah, exactly.
You're not building off anything.
Yeah.
If he had 6 freshmen that were the core, then yeah, get them all the reps and all the playing time you can get. So I was just like, look, and I understand people were like, yeah, I just like watching this team play. I wanted to see him play. That's fine. But it's not like you're missing out on great theater and great basketball. No. And it's another couple of games. I just don't understand being like, I'm not that I know it sounds like I'm passionate. I wouldn't have cared one way or the other if they played or not. No. I would have thought that's how most people were. Yeah. And I think most people are like that. But apparently there were a few that had some not so nice things to say to Luke, either in DMs or texts. And I'm like, man, what?
And his wife? NIT. Like, what are we doing, people?
But it's the NIT.
I know.
Who cares about the NIT? The NIT won't even be around in 2 more years.
Yeah. Sadly.
The way the sport is going, the NIT won't even be around. So it is just a completely meaningless tournament. I'd have rather them played a one-off against Auburn. That would have I would have enjoyed that. That would have been fun. But a stupid NIT, like, it's just, again, I think it's beneath them. They were too good at the end of the year.
I wouldn't.
I know that's a weird way to phrase it.
Yeah.
It really is. But they had accomplished so much. There was nobility in how their season ended.
Yeah.
How about that? The way that losing to the number 1 team in the country on a last-second shot that just missed after you played so well for 2 months, that is a noble ending. Playing UC Irvine in the semifinals in Indiana. It's in Indiana, by the way, apparently, the NIT finals.
Oh, no longer in New York City. I used to be in
Madison Square Garden. It's Indiana. I just don't I don't know. Indignity is too strong. Beneath them is too strong. Pointless is more the accurate.
It just for me. It didn't make sense for this iteration to do it. I mean, there might be maybe 2 years from now when Luke is getting a lot of young guys.
How about next year's team?
Yeah.
If next year's team, and we want it to be the NCAA tournament, but if it doesn't make it and they finish 18 and 14 again, and you have 5 freshmen and maybe 2 or 3 sophomore portal guys or 2 or 3 sophomores that stay, yeah, man, get some reps, build. Yeah. But I don't with 6 seniors, and if McCrae's and Wiggins, they're banged up or their heart's not into it. It's like that. I would rather their last game be a loss by the last second against Duke in a game that absolutely had stakes than losing to Navy because you just don't care to be there.
Yeah, and one last thing, like looking at that list too, I don't think any of those teams were the 69th team or whatever, the 73rd team, right? Like NIT was like, let's go prove that we deserve to have been in the NCAA tournament. It's like, yeah, none of those teams were real true bubble teams. So like, I get the whole thing where you might want to, if you're a Florida State fan, you want to see them play more basketball, win a bunch of games, like win the thing and prove like, yeah, we should have belonged. Which it's like, yeah, man, if you didn't believe it after the way they played the last 2 months of the season, last month and a half, I don't think the NIT would give you bigger of a feather.
I think they proved they belong by the last 8 weeks they played. They beat Miami. They won at Clemson. They almost beat Duke. They
beat SMU.
They got up by 20 points on everybody they played the last 2 weeks of the season, except Duke. Like that proved that they're one of the best teams in the country. Doing whatever they would have done against Navy, UC Davis, or UNLV. To me anyway, it's just it would have proven nothing. It couldn't have proven any more than what they already proved. But that's too much on the NIT already.
It was.
That's my fault. I apologize, everyone.
My fault too.
What I did think was interesting was him talking about the portal. Okay. And what it does do that they don't have basketball now and they can concentrate on the offseason, it gets them quicker into the scouting development or the scouting and evaluation piece of this. And that's very important. They got 5 freshmen coming in. Well, the receiver, Lopez, was already here. So 4 freshmen coming in that haven't been a part of the team. And he thinks it's going to be somewhere in the neighborhood of 3 to 5 portal kids they go get. Okay. And he's talking about that they have been fielding. It has been much more them fielding calls from agents than them calling agents.
Nice.
And that is the proof of concept with how they played the last 2 months and what McCray and Wiggins, I think especially McCray, how he changed his game to become more of a potential pro prospect. Chauncey Wiggins, I don't know what he averaged at Clemson, 8 points a game. I don't think he scored over 20. We know he didn't. His career high was like 19 before this year. He passed that 6 times, including a 31-point game on the like. Those are the proof of concepts where that gets agents excited about coming and playing for Florida State because they will develop. And Luke even touched on that. He's like, it's not just those two. Like, look what LeJay Jones was at the beginning of the year. Look how he finished the year. Look at Basong, who played 5 minutes a game and then started 13 of the last 14. Like, that's the proof in the pudding that you show these agents, not just, hey, we can win some games and we play a fun style. Look how these guys developed in 4 months. Now, what are we going to do with your client, which is a crazy thing to say? What are we going to do with your client if he's here for 2 years? That's a really good selling point, man. And so he did. I thought that was very encouraging and very enlightening that he talked about how the agents are calling them and they're not having to call. You know, last year when he got the job, they were just taking anybody. They had to. Not that they just took anybody. These guys could play, but you know what I mean? Like they were calling out. Now they're getting the calls because of how good they were at the end of the year.
Any thoughts on the no-no? 11th in program history combined? No-no?
Yeah, I liked Link's comments on it. It's not easy to get no-hitters, but and he put it in the proper context. We get it. It was a 7-inning game, but it was a combined no-hitter. It was not one guy pitching the whole thing. But now you're talking about, Aslan, 4 games since the Florida game, 4 games in which your starting pitching has given up 2 runs in 4 games. You know, Moore gave up a home run to the first batter of the game. I guess we charge Whited. Is it Whited?
Whitted.
We charge Whitted with the run because they started hitting guys there in that fourth inning or whatever. So he hit 2 guys and walked a guy. And then one of the guys he hit scored on another hit by pitch from Brody Purcell. But that's it. Yeah. They're starting pitching. And I know he's not a traditional starter, but they're frontline guys. The 6 runs that Wake Forest scored counted. I get it. But the game seemed very out of reach at that point. They were down 12-1, I think. Yeah, they were down 12-1 or 12-3. What they've done over these last 4 games, and quite frankly, other than the one blow-up inning against Florida, they were pitch for pitch with that crazy bullpen. They gave up 5 runs in 1 inning. They gave up 1 run the rest of the game, and that was a home run. This has been really impressive. It's really impressive. They got some arms. Brody Purcell, I thought looked good, which was good to see. And Stokes, again, the kid that came on at the end that throws, he's the one guy that could throw the same velocity as the Florida guys. The fact that he looked so good, walked the guy, but no hits, obviously. Struck out 2. The slider is a wipeout slider, man. That's you keep building on that. So, again, it's a Tuesday game. I'm not going to make too much out of it. You're supposed to beat Bethune-Cookman, but Bethune-Cookman's a good team. They've beaten teams already this year. They always seem to be an NCAA regional team. I don't want to dismiss it. Bethune's a good program, and you dismantled them. And that's 4 games in a row where you've looked like the best team in the country. But it's just 4 games, and it's in March. But, again, I say that watching Georgia. Georgia needed a walk-off home run on Tuesday to beat the Citadel at home. I just want people to and we saw what the Citadel can pitch, clearly, I guess. But I want people to put these in the proper perspective. Like, these midweek games are not just automatic dubs. And Bethune can play. And other teams around the country are struggling to win these games. Florida State, at least the last 2 against Mercer, and now this, I think it was Mercer. No, I guess Florida. Florida doesn't count. The last midweek game against a lesser-than opponent. Yeah. They've looked really good. And this team is playing really well right now, which is good because they got a real juggernaut of a team coming in this weekend. I forgot this was the mailbag show. Let's get to it.
16 minutes into it.
Let's go. I'll be quick. I will be quick. I apologize, everyone.
Should we call the World Baseball Classic the World Series and just call the World Series the MLB Championship?
No.
Okay.
But I liked it because the world is represented in the World Series, though. Whoever's playing in that final game of the World Series, like the Blue Jays and the Dodgers this year,
true.
I'm going to guess you have 10 or 12 countries represented. So it still feels like it's the world.
Okay.
And I hope Ohtani blows out his elbow and never pitches again. I want him to play. I like watching him hit. I love watching him hit. It's not fair. They get 2 great players for the price of 1. Yeah. No, well, for the price of a lot.
Well, maybe again, because they were like, why not let him do both? Like nobody there was like, we can't do this.
Yeah.
Like, how many, I'm sure travel ball coaches have ruined the American Ohtani that could have been because like, nope, that's not how we do it over here.
Yeah.
So now, it just opens the door.
It's weird. Real quick, 30 seconds. The best player on Brady's team at Mountain View High School is a really good pitcher. He's already committed to Georgia Tech to be a pitcher. But he is an incredible hitter, too. I think he's got like 7 or 8 home runs this year. He hit 3 home runs in a game last weekend. It's like, man, I hope that he gets a chance to hit at Georgia Tech because he's good at it. And if he developed like that, he might be able to be a guy that does both. They are out there. We've seen them. The guy in Florida. So I hope
JC Flowers.
I hope Ohtani, if there's an impact with Ohtani, that it can be, you know what? You don't just have to be a PO. When you raise your level, when you get into college or you get into the minor leagues, we can dabble and let you do both and see if you're good.
Did John Olerud play both in college?
He pitched it. He pitched at Washington State, yeah, but I don't think he ever pitched in the minor leagues. Yeah. Because that's why they named that two-way player award. Mike McGee did it at Florida State. JC Flowers, like you said.
Yeah, I remember Darren Dreifert. That's a name. I feel like Darren Dreifert was a guy that pitched and also swung.
You know who else
well.
He did, and so did Tim Hudson. Tim Hudson hit like 19 bombs at Auburn.
For Auburn, yeah, unbelievable.
All right, here we go. Now we're 18 minutes in. Let's get to some questions.
We go to New York City. Armchair Osceola kicking off the Renegade Express. What an honor. Let's go to the year 2030. Florida State has added another national championship to its trophy case. Your challenge: which of the 3 men's sports is most likely to deliver that title within the next 4 years? Football, baseball, or basketball? If I had to guess, Armchair Osceola says, I'd say baseball is the most likely. Basketball feels nearly impossible, even with a talented roster. So my order would be baseball, football, basketball. What say you, gentlemen? I agree, I think.
I think I would. Maybe I'm just I'm drunk on the Luke Laux wine. I think I would put baseball, basketball, football. And the reason I would put football last is simply because how hard it is going to be forevermore to win a championship. It's going to be like winning the Super Bowl, except even 30% harder than that. Like, what did the Seahawks have to do in the playoffs this year? They had to win. Come on, Finnick.
2 games.
They had to win 2 home games, right? And then the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
Well, college football, especially when it is going to expand, you're going to have to win 4 or 5 games in the playoffs, probably at least 4, against really good teams at the end of a long season. It's just going to be – look how hard it was for Indiana. I think Indiana's not significantly better than Miami, but I think Indiana's better than Miami. And it came down to it was really hard for them. No. Miami had to intercept a ball in the end zone even to get out of the first round against A&M. So I just think the way it's set up is going to be much harder to win in football now. You're going to have a great roster with a lot of NFL guys and get lucky and get good matchups. Basketball, you got to win 6 games. And if you're good enough, you really only got to win 4 games because you're going to probably, if you're a 2 seed, you should theoretically cruise into the Sweet 16.
But that's not the way that sport works. You know that.
I know.
I
know, but you're right. I get it. And it's hard. It's really, really hard. I was thinking about it when I was interviewing him when we were interviewing him on Wednesday. It's because he was talking again about the finances, and they don't have as much. Like whatever Duke spends in relation to Florida State, I don't know if it's 5 times the amount of money, 8 times the amount of money, but they were within a whisker of losing to Florida State twice. Now, what is this thing going to look? And he almost beat Florida at Florida. And those are 2 number 1 seeds. What is this thing going to look like if he gets funds that are at least closer, relatively closer to the bluer bloods? Now, he's never going to get Kentucky money or Duke money or Carolina money. We understand that because it is going to be going to football. But if he gets, I don't know, man, Arkansas money, that's probably too much. They got Tyson. But Georgia money, Texas A&M money for basketball. If he's somewhere in the middle of the conference, I believe in this staff because of what they did this year. That man, you give them just 20% better players across the board. Well, 18-14 becomes 25-8, and then you're a 2 or a 3 seed, and off you go.
I think I'm going to go with baseball, football, basketball.
That's probably the right answer. I even tried to talk myself into it. I'm like, come on, man. But Florida State's, it would be awesome. I'm much more of a believer in the basketball coach than the football coach right now.
But how much though is a believer in a program, right? Like football's done it 3 times. The other have not done it. The other one, one sniffed it, 17 years ago? 1999?
Basketball?
No, baseball. I'm talking about.
Well,
the 99 series, they lost.
If you get to Omaha, you're sniffing it. You're sniffing it if you get to Omaha. I think they sniffed it 2 years ago. They just got, check swinged.
Yeah. Hoops hasn't been in the Final Four since the 70s, so it's.
And they might have done it in 2020, but that was a culmination of a lot of really big recruiting wins and a great team. It will be hard. I have no idea. Much like the Desir twins, man. We have no idea what Luke Laux's ceiling is. He might be Billy Donovan. He might be Billy Donovan. We have no idea. I'm very, very impressed with what he and his staff have done, though, so far.
Do you think it'll be tough to keep him happy here? I mean, I don't get too bothered by it, but I know he does talk about it in front of cameras about the financial support needed to compete at the level that he wants to be able to compete at, which is to win a national championship. I mean, do you think there's a point where he's like, man, I'm sick of trying to I keep telling you guys, and you keep sending me on all these tours, and I'm shaking everybody's hands, and I'm kissing all these babies, and I'm not getting enough money. I mean, do you think there's a point that'd be one of the good problems, right? Like if Luke
he needs to have a lot more success first before he starts pushing back at that. Like again, fine, good season, especially for a first season, but 18-14 isn't going to move the needle enough where you're like, we've got to keep this guy happy at all costs. And if Link seems happy, and they're both Noles. And Luke's wife is a Nole. She swam at Florida State. It is a Florida State family, which should give you a hometown discount and make him more apt to stay, even if he's not 100% satisfied.
Our guy Bakari, Big B7034, been around since 2022. He's only had 29 posts.
All right.
Picks his spots. You mentioned the 2020 basketball team, Corey, so I went ahead and found this one. Wake up. If you guys could change the outcome of one of these FSU seasons, which one would it be? 1, Chris Winkie never gets injured. He plays in the national title game against Tennessee Fiesta Bowl.
Okay.
2, the pandemic never happens. 2020 FSU men's basketball team gets to finish the ACC tournament and make a run in the NCAA tournament. 3, Jordan Travis never gets injured. We get to see how good the 23 team was. As always, thanks for all you do. Go Noles.
Oh.
I know the Jordan Travis one isn't on your list because you're convinced that even if he was healthy, they would have not been able to make the playoff.
I'm not convinced. I don't think I'm convinced because I was just running through that scenario in my head. I'm like, I'm not convinced because what if they'd have beaten Louisville 37-9?
Yeah.
There's no way you could argue they're undefeated and they didn't deserve to get in. Louisville's a top 12 team.
Yep.
And there's also the possibility they could have. They weren't playing like that well offensively with him, but there is a chance they certainly would have been better offensively in that game than they were. So if they beat Louisville by 3 touchdowns, I just don't think there's any way they get kept out, even though Herb Street was trying to get that lined up 2 weeks before. So that one probably because I am convinced that 2020 FSU basketball team was a Final Four caliber. 100%.
Absolutely.
And national championship caliber team, honestly. But like you just said, basketball, weird things happen. A kid gets hot from 3 in the second round, you're done. It is really all you have to do with Jordan Travis is win 2 games. And the second game was going to be a lot easier than the first game, in my opinion. No, I don't even know how it would have lined up. I don't know who Florida State would have played.
You're talking about the playoff itself. I'm talking about because he would have to go into the swamp and beat Florida, but they were on their 3rd string quarterback. So, they would have looked the final score and the product would have looked much better if Jordan Travis was a quarterback in 23, which would have helped their candidacy, if you want to call it that. But
look, I think they beat Florida 24-15. Add 10 more points to that at least. I think I think Jordan Travis is probably worth more than 10 points to Tate Rodemaker, obviously. But let's say that's 34-15. Then you go and beat Louisville 27-7.
Yeah.
Jordan Travis is certainly worth 14 more points than Brock Glenn. So let's make that 27-7. Yeah, you're in the playoff, and I think you're probably in the playoff as the 3. So I think you're playing Washington.
Yep.
I think you're beating that Washington team. I think you're better than that Washington team. That Penix kid is not just going to be throwing dimes all over your secondary like he did to Texas. And then you play Michigan for the national championship. Michigan was more talented than you, but by a few degrees. And honestly, I think you had the better quarterback. You certainly, I think, had the better college quarterback, the more dynamic college quarterback than J.J. McCarthy. And you have a chance to win that game. So that's the answer.
You say that.
The reason I don't say Winky is
why don't you say it? Because that's one game. That's one game. That's 60 minutes, man. 60 minutes. You just need him for 60 minutes. You didn't need 2 more games out of him. You just needed 60 minutes.
Yeah. I think with Winky, though, if he's healthy, and I think he's healthy, they beat Tennessee, maybe by a couple scores. I also don't think Peter Warrick comes back the next year. So you did win a championship with Winky and Warrick. It was just a year delayed. I don't know that you're winning the 1999 title without Peter Warrick. In fact, you wouldn't have beaten Virginia Tech without Peter Warrick. So yes, it sucked that he didn't get to play in that, but I think the byproduct of that, like KD going to the Warriors because of Draymond punching LeBron in the nuts or kicking him in the nuts, whatever he did, that was the butterfly effect that got KD there. I think Winky getting hurt made Peter Warrick come back for his final year. And we all heard of Dillard's. Growing up in Georgia, I'd never heard of Dillard's. I didn't know what Dillard's was until the Peter Warrick gate.
Peter Warrick should get his own dish named after him at the Corner Pocket Bar and Grill, like some sort of legendary meal. That's like $9.99. But there's a daily lunch special.
Maybe $19.99.
Throw
a lot of 9s in there, though, Bill.
Yeah. Check out the Corner Pocket Bar and Grill, 2475 Appalachian Parkway, your unofficial headquarters for the NCAA tournament if you're watching it in the Tallahassee area, obviously. I love this. I will
say this. It's a great time. It's Thursday at noon. That's when the tournament starts. Corner Pocket, I can promise you, knows what channel True TV is and is going to have it fired up. They're going to have True TV, TBS, TNT, and CBS all lined up. You're not going to be watching ESPN Ocho having to figure out, where's the basketball? It's going to be on at Corner Pocket. They know it's a big deal. People are going to be out there. People are going to be watching, so go up there and watch your basketball. Bring your appetite. You don't even have to bring a lot of cash because the food and the drinks reasonably priced. Food is delicious. Make it your go-to destination for the NCAA tournament. The Corner Pocket Bar and Grill, 2475 Appalachian Parkway, cptallybar.com. That's their website. Warchant, not the only entity you need in your life that's running a mega sale this month. The annual Ridge sale is underway. Save up to 40% at ridge.com when you use the promo code WAKEUP.
Ridge uses high-grade components and stands by their products to the tune of a 99-day free trial and backed with a lifetime warranty. Are you like me and already have a Ridge wallet? Congrats. Thank you for joining the crew. Check out their tracker card. It's the same form factor as a credit card. You put in your Ridge wallet and you can use Apple Find My to locate it with GPS, or you can engage the location ringer. So yeah, you can hit a button like on your phone on the app. It will make your wallet emit a sound so that you can locate it. It's better than like trying to find your car in the airport parking lot. Head to ridge.com, use the promo code WAKEUP at checkout. The annual sale is on now at ridge.com/wakeup. We're back. It's Wake Up Warchant. It is presented by Cummins, CumminsLifestyle. Follow it on Instagram. Back to the mailbag we go, Corey. Random_John. He's got a bone to pick.
Uh-oh.
He always does.
Yeah, I feel like he is a bone picker.
It's very direct. Good morning, guys. 3 practices in, I'm already hearing the usual spring optimism. But here's where I struggle. We have heard versions of this for a few years now. The players developing, young guys flashing, things, quote, coming together. Then the season starts and the same issues show up again. So my question is this: at what point does development is coming turn into a real concern about whether development is actually happening? And specifically, what have you seen and heard so far this spring that would suggest this year will be different than the last couple?
Well, we haven't seen anything.
Yeah. Well, 4 periods.
Aslan saw 20 minutes
of
a practice in March. So nothing.
Strain. I heard strain, Corey. Yeah. They hit that sled. Everybody was straining and grunting and groaning. Well, last year they weren't. So maybe there's a little bit more of a try hard effort. If I could pick a bone with the bone picker.
What a nickname. That's a pretty cool nickname. Bone picker.
Have the same
somebody's
issues.
At the door, Aslan. Can you believe it? Keep going. I'm not getting it. Maybe Stephanie will get it. I'm not answering the door. Can't be that important.
Has there been a common theme to the last 2 years? Like, I don't know, what are the season starts and what are the same issues that continue to show up again? That was my point of contention. But yeah, we're not going to be able to see anything because we're going to get one more practice in like 2 weeks where it's going to be the same thing pretty much. I mean, behind the scenes, the only thing that we could hear, and we haven't heard it quite yet, would just be if, I think you guys talked about it on headlines, and Ira was right. It'd have to be like Ashton Daniels looks poised, looks to be everything that we thought he could possibly be and more. And that's really, because even at the defensive line, they said, all right, great. Like, can you score points, man? Can this offense look good again? That'd be the only thing we could hear. Have not heard it yet. But it's, again, 1 week, 1 day in pads. We got 12 more of these.
Yeah, and look, there's always optimism in the spring. And quite frankly, Florida State is in a place right now, sadly, where it almost feels like there's nowhere to go but up. There's nowhere to go but improve. So there will be some bright spots and some things you're hearing about from the coaches and people that are watching the practices about guys that are impressing and guys that look the part or look good. But yeah, none of us are going to believe anything until we see it in the fall. I will say I agree with Aslan though and Ira that the quarterback is the only thing that if we hear that Ashton Daniels has it, like he is the dude. He looks the part. He is the part. He's making all the right reads. He is good at this offense. He's a better thrower than they thought. He's going to be a real player. Then that would give me some real optimism. Other than that, it's just words. Like, yeah, man, okay, it's awesome to know that maybe Javon Boggs has taken another step. Or Kevin Wynn looks great. He's lost 25 pounds. I will say this, though. Defense, I maybe it's just because Norvell's been here longer, and so maybe his words are a little more hollow, I guess. Mm-hmm. If we start hearing that Kevin Wynn is wrecking things.
We heard Javon Boggs was creating problems.
Well, yeah, but that implies that he wasn't any good. He got hurt. But if we hear that Kevin Wynn is wrecking things, and that was also a different side of the ball. We heard good things about the Desirs. I brought this point up. We've heard good things about Rawls. He called Earl Little him. They were all right. No. Like his evaluation ability on that side of the ball about who looked good and who was playing well, everything you guys heard last August was true. he didn't miss on any of them. He wasn't sitting there. I don't think. Wait until y'all see James Williams.
Right.
He's the next great white defensive end. You think Max Crosby's good? You think the Bosa's are? You haven't seen anything yet. We didn't hear that from him. We did hear that Rawls is good. We heard the Desirs were wrecking things, and they were all right. So that side of the ball, if I hear one of the new guys looks like a star, if Kevin Wynn looks like he is going to wreck things this year, he's one of the best players on the team. That will give me hope. If the Desirs are to the point where they can't even practice because they're wrecking things too much, that kind of stuff I would take genuinely and sincerely. Hearing that, Sam Singleton looks good or the offensive line looks great, I just we'll have to wait and see, man.
Well said. That's right. That's a good answer. Because, we're at a point with Norvell that, last year he threw the curveball one day where he was a little angry, right? Like he was visibly angry and said he wasn't happy with the effort and they're going to hear about it. And then the next time we talked to him, he's like, I was really happy with the way they responded. So it was, and I remember before he came back and said, oh, I like the way they responded the following day. I remember that was when I did like the little hodgepodge breakout video thing. I was like, this is good. Like we got a mad Mike now because he's always doing the optimistic guy, always seeing like the best in things, the best in the players, believing in their best versions of themselves. I was like, all right, man, he's not taking this anymore. He's looking at everything at face value. He's pissed off. He's letting them know. He's calling them out. And then, again, it didn't necessarily equate to a strong last 9 games of the season. Good 3-0 start, but the other 9 games, not so great. So, yeah, I think to your point, Corey, just to underscore, Tony White has earned or, built up a little bit of equity in terms of being kind of like 4 for 4. Rawls, Earl, and the Desirs.
Didn't they develop? They develop more. Like, you think of all the good players that have come through Norvell's offense. Again, I'm not trying to just rip this dude. We all understand where this program is. Not a lot of them were his guys that just turned the corner in a year. I guess Benson, he talked Benson up, and that turned out to be true. He really liked Johnny Wilson. That helped. But the development from freshmen to being contributors to being potential stars hasn't really happened on the offensive side of the ball. It just hasn't. Danzy, I guess, but Danzy didn't even play as a true freshman. So Tony White, I think, on that side of the ball has already accomplished more with homegrown recruits than Mike Norvell has in 6 years. Every good offensive player Mike Norvell has had, except for Toafili, have been guys that were at other schools. Tony White, Arnaud's not here anymore, but Arnaud could play. The Desirs could play. Rawls could play. I know he didn't bring in Rawls, but he noticed Rawls. He noticed Earl Little. He got them on the effing field. That to me is something I'd like to see with this offense, man. They got a lot of new guys coming in on offense. But the best one he's brought in his career is a running back that got 4.5 carries a game last year. So let's hope that develops this year.
Speaking about second-year development, Aslan, Jamaica Knoll writes in, slight pushback to your Mike benefiting from a second year with Sperry take. While I love the potential of him being a productive quarterback, Mike has had other quarterbacks for 2 years or more he's had time to develop. What makes Kevin different from Brock or Tate, for example? I don't know. I had a year 2, I think, like defensive take with guys like the Desirs, right? Because Tony White said last year, that they'll get that split second faster of identifying and firing off the ball. But yeah, I don't know how much, year 2 Mike Sperry synergy there is. I mean, the thing about Sperry is just like the way he looked in that Stanford game. That was such a tough spot to come in. That's what I build 90% of my outlook on what Kevin Sperry could be, was just like, yeah, man, that game, how sluggish that team looked. He gets thrust in the duty in the middle of I think they were losing at that point. I think they were losing the whole game.
Yeah, they were losing the whole game, Aslan. Yeah. And they lost.
Yeah. But, he made enough plays and put them in winning position. And, did Gavin Sawchuk get in? I don't know. I think he did. I think everybody thought he did. But his question is, Corey, who do you see as that second-year player to make a jump in production that can actually impact the season? I'm really rooting for Boggs and Croma, maybe even translate to a few road wins or something crazy.
Wouldn't that be neat? I think those are the 2 right answers. I also think Chase Lofton is a guy that has a real chance. I talked to Chris Thompson at the coaches luncheon. kind of off the record, so we won't go into detail about it because that's what off the record means. But I will say that he's very encouraged and excited about Chase Lofton. And that is a guy that Mike Norvell singled out that signing day. Mm-hmm. He's the first guy he talked about. That guy is they think he can be and is a real weapon. And obviously he was hurt off most of last year and didn't get to do much. So I think those three at the skill positions, I'm certainly not counting on any second-year offensive lineman, maybe Chavez Thompson at center. But I think those three guys on offense are the ones that have can make the biggest impact from what they did last year, which Boggs and Lofton did essentially nothing. And Cromall did a little bit more than that, but didn't get the carries to really have a huge impact. I think all three of those guys, I think Boggs and Lofton could potentially be two of your top 5 wide receivers, maybe two of your top 4, and Cromall could be your leading rusher. Like all that's on the table as we sit here in March.
BG Walker Jr., 24. That's a mouthful, but pretty succinct question. Wake up, Aslan and Corey. We have all lamented on and seen the struggles of recruitment, development, lack of coaching for situational football and awareness, and all the other things that lead to 7-17 over 2 years. I believe as the offseason and transfer portal was developing, many displayed their angst about the defensive line's shortcomings. If you could add one player minus Jordan Travis from 2023 to really help this team in practice habits, leadership, and professional attitude, who would you add? Would it be Verse, Fisk, or someone else? Would that player you add be enough to give you confidence of a bowl ACC championship game appearance, or could he help the team become fringe playoff worthy?
Well, if you're in the ACC championship game, you're already on the fringe. Probably Verse. I just think Verse would work well in a 3-3-5 as well. Not as well, but I think he would work well. Fisk, yeah, I guess he plays on the edge in a 3-3-5 because he's not 320 pounds. I don't know that you'd line him up in the nose, and if you did, you're kind of ruining his effectiveness. Also, I just think Verse's personality and what he does at practice, the competitive spirit he rises up around him with his teammates on the defensive side of the ball and the offensive guys that want to kill him, that makes practice better too. So I think just Verse, the total package is why I would choose him. I don't think it would make them college football worthy, though. College football playoff worthy. So they're more than just the net rusher away. Yes, correct. Yeah. Jordan Travis now, that would be a different story. Say like Jarian Jones, dark horse pick, because I think he believes he's like almost like the Jordan on defense in terms of a guy that, bounced around. I don't think he was all that happy in Mississippi State. Things didn't work out all that great when he first got to Tallahassee, but he kind of bought in and then saw the light at the end of the tunnel. And, he's been on podcasts talking about how much he believes in Norvell. So that would be a guy that would probably echo and champion for Mike and his message in the locker room. How about that secondary they had at a time where it was Jarian Jones, Kevin Noles, Jamie Robinson, Renardo Green. Anybody else I'm missing that they all played in the NFL? Noles played in the NFL this past year. Jarian's like a big time player. So is Renardo, obviously. That's kind of cool. We didn't know what we had back then. Yeah. We had Akeem Dent. Akeem Dent, I don't know how come he was never able to. I think he was on a peace squad or had a tryout with the Chargers. Didn't work out. But Akeem Dent was a really good. And I know they played a very good college player. He was, and I know that they played different positions. But how crazy is it that Jarian Jones has had a much better NFL career than Jamie Robinson? Yeah, I would not have guessed that. Yeah. Jamie's a special teams guy for the Falcons, but can't really get on the field defensively, which just seems crazy. He was good. Let's go to the heart of Florida, the Villages. Villages Knoll. How long has this guy been around? August 2023. 6 posts from our guy Wes. All right, well, he started just in time. Yeah, he says, wake up to the best in the biz. Also 2 buddies of mine that I don't get to see enough. Oh, so this is Wes. Okay. It is Wes. All right. We'll see if there was a spring game, Wes. We could have all hung out for the spring game, but there is not a spring game. But alas. I should have been posting long ago, but no time like the present. It's been so refreshing to see so many Seminole sports teams excelling lately. My question is, even if the football team has a decent season of 7 to 8 wins, which I see as the ceiling as of now, if the money is truly there, which I believe it is, do you agree or disagree that Norvell needs to be let go? Wow. Hurt my chest, got a little tight. That was going right for it. I'm a long-term thinker, and this school has such rich tradition that I believe at some point you have to call it what it is and move on. One of the big reasons is because he continues to struggle in recruiting, especially in the state of Florida.
Hope all is well with you two. Thumbs up, subscribe, and of course, go Noles. All
So,
right, so
the premise
if the money is truly there, which he believes it is, Corey, do you agree or disagree that Mike should be let go if they win 7 to 8 games?
I just don't know how you reconcile keeping him for 5 wins, but then letting him go for 8 wins. Again, should have been fired after the Stanford game, in my opinion. He certainly deserved it. That didn't happen. And I also think there is a way to sell it. Again, I don't know. I don't think he'd be fired after 8 and 4 because I don't understand how you would do that after you didn't fire him for 5 and 7. Clearly, they made some upgrades, they made some strides, and maybe there's a chance that they Boggs and Lofton and Cromall. This offensive line has some younger guys on it potentially. Maybe you feel really good about the future too. It's not just 1-year rentals, and you think this thing's about to take off. Either way, I would definitely, me personally, since I've kept him now, I would probably keep him again after an 8-win season. That means you're at least competing for an ACC championship game. You probably didn't get there, clearly, but you're in the running there in November. And you whittle down another $13 million out of the buyout. So then if and when he falls on his face again, you're paying him $13 million less and that staff less than you would if you fired him after an 8-win season. I think the big caveat with all that is, who are you going to get? Do you have somebody lined up? That's what I'd want to know more than anything. Don't just fire to fire. Have somebody lined up and be ready to go.
If they got the money, they would, right? I mean,
not for 8 wins. They wouldn't. They couldn't.
No,
fire him after 8 wins.
No, that's my thing, though. He's so convinced that they have the money, and I'm not saying he's right or wrong, but like if they had the money, they would have let him go after 5 and 7. But they don't. They didn't have the money to do that. So now they're what? So they're going to pay him to coach this year, which would theoretically be less of the buyout, but you're still paying that same amount of money because you're paying him to coach. So yeah, is $40 million that much more palatable? But at the same time, you get to a point where we went 7 and 5. 7 and 5, you had at least, if you go 7 and 5 with this schedule, you got 2 ugly losses.
Yep, and think about, so that would be 7 and 5, 5 and 7, and then 2 and 10. So what is that? 14 and 24 over a 3-year stretch at Florida State. Yeah, man, you shouldn't survive it. I'm just saying you shouldn't survive a 14. Nobody should be allowed to go 14 and 24 at Florida State, really in any sport, but certainly football. I just think if you're not going to fire him after 5 and 7, then he gets to 7 and 5, maybe 8 and 5 with a bowl game. I think you're trying to hang on because I just think you're trying to hang on. I think you're trying to hang on, and hopefully that was the first step in a leap. The first, like it's the triple jump.
There's
little jump, big jump with the feet do this. Like maybe they think that's the first little jump in the triple jump till they get to the big one where they land in the sand.
And will there be enough to build off of? Because you're going to lose Deuce. You're not going to have, and you're not going to be able to go in the portal and get anybody that's like Deuce without overpaying to an extent that you're going to be left unable to fill other spots on your roster. So you're going to lose Deuce Robinson. Like will Danzy and Boggs with Sperry if he starts the last 5 games of the season and you end up going 4-1 in those games. I think that matters. Like if you go 7 and 5 with Ashton Daniels, like he's gone, Deuce is gone. You got to get another offensive line for the 3rd season in a row. So you're going to try to build it around the defense in 2027 with the Desirs in their money year. Rawls will be gone. Barker's going to be gone most likely. It just, I don't want to think that far ahead, but that's part of it too. Probably would they have some, because not letting him go after 5 and 7 obviously costs a boatload of money, Corey, but it's like, all right, man, if we keep Deuce, those young defensive linemen look good. That Rawls kid's going to be pretty good. The Barker kid's solid. Herb's going to stick around. He says that we can get him mid-priced players and he'll be totally fine with that. So it's like, okay, this is something we can try. This would be the 3rd time the 3rd go around with this kind of setup to where I don't think you could convince yourself if you have the money. But if you don't have the money, then yeah, man, you got to keep rolling them out there until you finally do. Yeah,
but look, man, if he goes 3 and 9, we assume he's fired, right? We would think, yeah, who knows at this point? But if he goes 3-9, if you got the money to fire a guy that went 3-9, I feel like you got the money to fire a guy that went 6-6 or 7-5. I just think it's more about legitimately. I think Michael Alford does believe in Mike Norvell to a certain extent. He does, and I think he thinks that they were close to being a good team last year, and they were, and they weren't, but they were close to being an 8-win team. But again, well, that gets you a lot, but still. So if he sees real progression this year, I think the powers that be might think, okay, it's not just we're saving money. We do see something to build on. But you're right. If you go 7-5 and all the players, the reason you went 7-5 are all leaving, then maybe that's the perfect time to rip off the Band-Aid. That said, whoever comes in to replace him will have all the same problems that Norvell would have if he stayed. You know, the Sears aren't going to be there. Deuce Robinson's not going to be there. Your quarterback left. Like the new guy's going to have all the same issues.
But will they be able to hire a good coordinator? Will they be a coordinator that can bring their quarterback with them?
Look, man, me and Jeff have already talked significantly about, I am genuinely paying a lot of attention to the South Florida Bulls football season this year and maybe next season. That is the guy that I think, if they have any type of, if they go 9-3 or 10-2, and there's some real stuff that you see there, and Mike Norvell piddles around and is 500 again, me personally, I am making a run at James Hartline, Brian Hartline. Is it Brian or
Brian?
James?
Brian Hartline.
Who the hell is James Hartline? Brian,
James Laurinaitis. You're thinking of James Laurinaitis.
Right. I go get Brian Hartline because that dude brings players, and if he can show he can be a head coach and win some games, that's all I need to see. I like all of you. I'm tired of this mess, and maybe he could be a guy that fix it, but. 9 months, 10 months from now, 11 months from now, 10 months, 9 months. 9 months from now, we might be talking about an ACC championship Florida State football team. So who knows? We'll
be in Charlotte again at Southern Culture or Club
Whatever
Culture.
That place was. Yeah, that was
awesome.
That was a cool bar, yeah.
Shout out Seminole Club of Charlotte. Tony G from DB. Wake up. Wedding coming soon, Aslan. Corey, looking buff as always.
Thanks. Oh, yeah, I'm actually
true.
I'm showing the stuff off today, Aslan.
Can we get a double front bicep? Can we get a double front?
No, I'm not doing that. My wife would get very mad at me.
Okay.
I have noticed that if you put your fists under your biceps like that, that's a good good look there. I like that look. So I'll just sit like this for a while.
A lot of college players do that. Like they're the post workout end of spring, like, and it's like, yeah, man,
get a little vein pop.
I can do that too, guys.
Yeah, anybody can do it. Look at that. Look at that, guys. Look how tough I am.
Tony G from DB. Hypothetical. If the unthinkable happens and we lose to New Mexico State, come on.
Hey, that's not that unthinkable, but it's pretty unthinkable.
Do they feel the pressure to fire him, or will the financial stewards stay the course as the athletic department loses money because the fans won't show up or keep giving?
I would think it's too reactionary to fire him after one game. But if they lose to New Mexico State, I think we can go ahead and assume they're going to lose to SMU and they're going to lose to Alabama. Yeah. So after 4 games, let him coach against his alma mater, and then that's a wrap. Like, legitimately, if you're losing to New Mexico State, you're going to end September 1-3, and that is the time to just get it. It would just be too much toxicity around the program, around everything, if my man lost to New Mexico State. You can't come back from that.
What would you have done if I was on the field in Ireland? Like, if I would have just, like, floated, like my soul would have floated out of my body and floated all the way up to the press box with you guys after Lawrence Toafili scores a touchdown on the opening drive. And I'd be like, in 2 years from now, people will ask whether or not this team could possibly lose to New Mexico State.
And also, that's the last touchdown this team's going to score all season. So I hope you enjoyed it. That's the last good drive they're going to have all season. It's crazy. It's just crazy where we were. I legitimately thought Norvell was after that drive, I was like, okay, he's one of the 5 best coaches in the country.
Yeah.
Legitimately. I thought that. And turned out I was wrong.
Like, if there was live trading, like if it was a stock, like, and at 10 a.m. it was announced that Google was buying your company, like your stock is going to shoot through the roof, right? Like, Norvell's stock was like so high because of what he did in 23. And then that first drive, it's like, man, I'm sure like Peter Collins and Michael Alford, like, man, I can't believe we locked them up.
They're high-fiving like
80 million. Only 80 million. Look at us. And then look at us. I don't think unless they go on like a 5-game losing streak in the middle of the year. I think that's the only in-season thing that would happen. I don't think they're going to lose to Central Arkansas or New Mexico State. Those like unforgivable sin losses.
Yeah, those are those, but
like,
that is it. I mean, I think if they lose to New Mexico State, he's done.
But that
might not be done that Monday, but he'll be done that month. Yeah, they're going to be a 30-point favorite.
Yes.
I will say this, though. The last 2 quarterbacks at New Mexico State, didn't you say the guy that's at Utah now ran for 1,200 yards at New Mexico State?
I think he might have been at New Mexico. Pavia, I think, was at New Mexico State.
I was going to say, the land of enchantment just craps out unbelievable quarterbacks. I don't understand how the land of enchantment keeps doing it. Is that their name or is that Arizona?
It is. You're right. Land of enchantment, New Mexico. You're right, buddy.
Arizona's the Grand Canyon State.
Yep.
Yeah, so land of enchantment. That's all right. I knew that. Good for me.
Yeah. Dampier, New Mexico State for Diego Pavia.
All right. So what if they have another Pavia?
Yeah.
He went and beat Auburn in New Mexico State. Like, it can't happen.
He did. Let's go to Mark.
They're not Kent State is what I'm saying. They will have some players probably.
Not a lot, though.
Okay.
I mean, the Kent State game was what, 77-0? Or is that East Texas A&M was 77-0? It was like 63-7 or something, Kent State.
They both were very bad.
I have no doubt they're going to look really good. Seriously, I bet they will look really good against New Mexico State. So
okay, all right.
It turns the SMU game. Mark Naples, wake up. Speaking of Jermaine Johnson in your thread, Aslan, do you think there has been a more impactful FSU player in the Norvell era of tyranny other than Jordan Travis? Jermaine Johnson was the first big-time SEC transfer with experience to come and play for Norvell. The guy had a serious motor, took no plays off, and set the tone for Norvell to climb out of his first of many losing skids at FSU. Went and made himself a first-rounder, and if I'm correct, is a major factor in Jared Verse coming to FSU. Love watching him play, and I think he should be honored as a Nole great in the post-Jameis era. Agree. Oh, yeah. Yeah. Has there been a more impactful player in the Norvell era other than Jordan Travis, other than Jermaine Johnson, Corey?
I would say Jared Verse, but I get the point because I don't know that Jared Verse shows up without Jermaine Johnson. Yeah. So one beget the other, like Dion with Terrell Buckley. Like I think that that's why I would say Jermaine Johnson, yes, because he made them respectable. I know they didn't go to a bowl in 2021, but he made them respectable. He was the ACC Player of the Year. He showed players from around the country, if you don't like your current station, come here, and if you're good enough, you can be a star. And that gave you Jared Verse, and then Jared Verse helped get you Braden Fisk. So again, though, it's hard to talk about impactful people as if we're talking about the Bobby Bowden era. Like, great, yes, Jermaine Johnson was very impactful. Jared Verse was very impactful. Jordan Travis was the most impactful. We're sitting here covering a team that's 7-17 in their last 24. So the impact didn't last long. Let's hope one of these guys, maybe Deuce is the guy, man. Maybe Deuce is the guy that can have a lasting impact where this thing turns back around again.
Let us hope. 2 more questions to get to. We'll get to them after this. Welcome back. Wake Up Warchant, presented by CumminsLifestyle mailbag show. Still going on. Let's get to the rest of the questions. Things are the last 2 we got. Big Steve-O.
All right.
Will this be the week he finally wins?
Let's go, Big Steve. I hope you brought it.
Good morning, gents. Hope all is well. Aslan, we are approaching T-1 month. Yes, we are. Extremely happy for you.
What is it? Is it 25th, 24th?
Correct. 25th.
Okay. All right.
That is correct.
Did I tell you that there's a better than good chance that Brady will have playoff games that week? And opening round of the playoffs. And he's a senior, but they don't play on Saturday. It's a Thursday-Friday series.
Okay.
So if they don't sweep or get swept, they'll play a game on Friday, one game. And so I'll at least be down there late Friday night, if nothing else. I hope. Okay. Hopefully they sweep on Thursday.
Yeah.
And I'll be down there for the whole thing. But I wouldn't miss your wedding for the world.
Hey, if you have to, just let me know at least 2 weeks beforehand, so I don't have to pay for your meal.
How about my mom? I told my mom that. I was like, yeah, unfortunately, Brady's got some playoff games probably at that same time. And she's like, oh, what are you going to do? And I'm like, I'm going to go see my son. What kind of question is that, you weirdo? I mean, I like Aslan. I want to go to his wedding, but that's not. She was like wondering how I'm weighing it in my head. I'm like, yeah, Brady wins, but I will hopefully be able to do both. I should be able to do both.
Dude, one of my good buddies, I was in his wedding. He's a groomsman. His wife's not coming because their daughter has a cheer competition that weekend.
All right.
I'm like, we don't have a friend on the cheer team that she can just ride with them? Like, you have to be there? She's not going to see in the crowd for this what? But it's fine. It really is.
All right.
It really is. I promise. It sounded like it's not, but it is. I get it. It's fine. I get it because I've been working with you for the last 8 years almost.
You've heard this whole story from when he was 8 years old. Yeah.
I'm like, I get it. I get it. Big Steve-O, who's got himself a young child. So one topic that I still hate discussing, but is the basis of my question for this week, NIL and contracts. Since we are in the era where players are now signing contracts, I was curious to get your thoughts on this. As NIL deals continue to grow, should college programs rely less on guaranteed money and shift towards performance-based incentives? Would this improve accountability and team success, or create added pressure and instability for athletes? And if we expect players to earn based on performance, should coaches be held to the same standard? Yes.
Yeah. Yes to all of it.
With lower base salaries and incentives tied to wins, championships, and postseason results. As always, go Noles.
I think it's a very good question, Steve. I'm crossing my fingers for you this week. I think that for the guys that have not accomplished much in college, the freshmen, the underclassmen, I think the incentive-based is a beautiful way to approach it. Like, if you
But first, sorry, Corey, to interrupt. But like, let's just go ahead and start off. You also believe that coaches are grossly overpaid and should also have incentive-laden bonuses. This is not a one-way street you want to vouch for or lobby for.
I honestly don't think Mike Norvell gets paid enough. You think about the commitment he's made to those kids, and he's only getting $10 million a year. That's ridiculous. It's insulting almost. Yes, coaches should, and I hope that's the next wave. Maybe after Lane Kiffin and Cignetti, all these administrations, they might be the last two of a dying breed of head coaches that get gobs of money, and everything else should be incentive-based. Because, again, unlike the NFL, well, it's like the NFL, but the fans aren't paying, Mike McDonald and Sam Darnold. They don't pay any of them. But Florida State fans have to pay the head coach, his coaching staff, and the players. I think it should all be incentive-based with a base salary, man. You get a base salary, and then, hey, you get to 8 wins, Mike. Hey, you get to a bowl. There's $500,000 in it for you, man. If you get this team to a bowl, could you imagine? 8 wins, 10 wins, ACC championship, you go up from there. And a lot of them have those escalators in their contracts anyway. But it's an add-on to the ridiculous sum of money they're already getting. It should be more of the brunt of the money they're getting, in my opinion, because I don't think Florida State is a place where you have to overpay. You should not have to overpay for a coach to come here. Because other than Willie Taggart, the last 3 coaches that have coached at Florida State have all had 13-win seasons. 2 of them won national championships. And as we discussed 45 minutes ago, even this guy had a realistic chance to win a national championship in 2023. That tells you the power of Florida State. So I absolutely don't think Florida State should be paying $14, $18, $12 million for a head coach. I think you give him a base salary of $5 million and say, buddy, you get us to the playoff, that's $1 million. You win a playoff game, that's another $1 million. You win the national championship, that's $3 million. Whatever you want to do. So, yes, as for players, look, you're not going to get Deuce Robinson to leave USC without a substantial salary. You can't say we'll give you $25,000 and then whatever, $100 if you make all ACC, $200 if you lead the whatever. But I do think for guys like Cromall coming out of high school. I know this isn't how it works, but if you tell Cromall out of high school, look, your base salary is, let's just say, $100. If you score 10 touchdowns, you get $500,000. If you lead us in rushing, you get $800,000. Like I don't think I know that's crazy money, and these are just numbers I'm throwing out there off the dome. They're not real, but I'm saying I don't understand. You're paying these guys who have not done anything at the college level. The Desirs at least have done something, but I'd make theirs incentive-laced.
It's not the numbers in that Chroma example. It's the, all right, give me the ball. Why am I not in the game right now?
Yeah, and sorry, Chroma, I know we owe, if you get one more touchdown, you get an $800,000 bonus. Yeah. But didn't you say your ankle was hurting? We're going to keep you out of this game. Sorry, my man. No, I think, look, man, if I just think it's an everybody wins situation when you have incentives like that. And I don't think it would cause that much turmoil in the locker room because guys are going and earning their money, not getting paid. Like the problem when you know what other people are making is like when you're like last year when you're Daryl Desir or Mandrell Desir. And while you don't know the specifics, you're quite certain James Williams is making more money than you.
Yeah.
And Jason Jenkins is making more money than you. How's that sit when you're out there making plays and you're making a third of what they make or a quarter of what they make? Now, this happens in the NFL some too, but I don't think it's to that extent. So I would make them all incentive laden. Even the veterans coming back, like Deuce, really good starting salary. And then, if you get 50 catches or if you score 9 touchdowns, or how about if we win 8 games?
Yeah.
Make them team incentives for the players. Yeah, make them team incentives for the players too.
Yeah, I think it needs to be more of a team incentive because, like, who would you rather be? Would you rather be like Wisner will give you $100,000 base salary, but we promise you're going to get 60% of the carries? Or would you rather be Cromall and have a $250,000 salary, but know that you're only getting 40% of the carries, and whoever's the leading rusher is going to get a bonus of $300,000?
Yeah, but I don't think they would go into a season lining up the percentage of the carries like that.
I know, but that's where it becomes like so Cromall would give your contract's going to say that you get a $300,000 bonus if you're the leading rusher. Well, it's like, well, if you're Sam Singleton, it's like, man, like, I'm never going to be able to get that because you're never going to give me the amount of carries I want. It's like he's never going to be happy. So it does go to Steve-O's point about there will be like instability and volatility. The second half of your question, or your answer, I think, is where it's at, Corey. It's like you make them win laden, but then it's also like, all right, what if your offense scores? What if you're the after the Pitt game? You're like, thanks defense. Like we put 35 on the board and you couldn't even get us off the field. So.
Yeah, it's a
I'm
tough
with the
deal.
coaches though. The coaches though, I'd like to see that, right? Like just $2-3 million, and then they should get paid per win for sure. I don't think there's anything that would make that unsavory. But this is crazy. This is Norvell's first contract he signed at Florida State.
Okay,
that's ridiculous, man. Like $250,000. 500. Well, yeah, 250 is the maximum. So you'd only get 250 grand for winning your conference. I know that was 2019,
right?
When there was, or 2020, where there wasn't a guaranteed, spot in the playoff or whatever. But if they were to go to this sort of model, if you will, Corey, like incentive laden.
If you look at that real quick, so if you win your conference championship, you get $250,000. But you're also going to make the bowl game, the CFP bowl game, because you have to, because you won the ACC, right? So he's getting an extra $200,000.
Say that to Manny Diaz. Manny Diaz didn't make it to the conference.
Well, that's true, but that's Duke. Nobody cares. Yeah. So you're talking about it's basically $450,000 for getting the conference championship game because you get the $200 for going to the New Year's Six Bowl.
I know, but then you think about Cignetti's making $15 million. It's like I made it to the playoff, and you're only giving me $450,000 for it.
You're lucky you got a job, Mike. Quit complaining. Go recruit a quarterback.
If they could find a way, listen, the players are going to push back on it. I think if incentive laden contracts would have to obviously be part of a CBA, which I don't want it to ever get to that point. I'm still holding out hope that at some point there's going to be federal legislation that's going to give whatever necessary antitrust exemption college football needs to get this thing to look closer to what it used to be, as opposed to trying to find all these creative ways to make this nonsense work, because it's nonsense. It's crazy. All of it is crazy. So you all can try to find ways to make it seem less crazy. For me, it's like we need to go back the way it used to be, or something closer to that than this. That's my opinion. Right. Last question. Let me get back to the board since I was pulling up the contract. I need to find his renewed contract. Just have some light reading on it. Island Chief, wake up. Issa Torres still has an on-base streak going into Friday's Cal matchup at the Plex. That is pretty amazing. What is the on-base streak?
I think it's either 18 or 19 straight plate appearances. The broadcast said 19. I think FSU softball tweeted out this week 18.
Okay.
But either way, it's 18 or 19, and I think the NCAA record is 26 in a row.
That feels like that's a big difference.
I mean, but also, like, who gets on base 26 times in a row? That's crazy. 18 is insane. I've never heard of anything like it. I would have thought this was the record. But yeah, incredible.
Oh, not 18 games in a row. She's had 18 consecutive at-bats where she's reached base.
Yes, 8. And I wonder,
incredible.
18 plate appearances in a row is insane. It's insane. Again, she's hitting .888 since she came back from her injury. She's 24 of 27 with like 11 walks. Preposterous. Yeah. But what was I going to say? I was just going to. Anyway, go ahead.
26. Who's been able to get on base 26 times?
I don't know. 26 times in a row is insane.
Yeah. If it comes to you, Corey, feel free to interrupt.
All right.
Speaking of streaks, what are the greatest streaks in FSU history? Well, the bowl game streak.
Yeah, that's number one.
Winning season streak.
No, the top 5 streak. Top 5, top 4. 10 wins doesn't mean as much now as it did in the 90s, but winning 10 games in a row for 14 straight years when you only played 12 is insane. That's 83% of your game. So if you wanted to do it that way, for 14 straight years, Florida State won at least 83% of its football games. 83.3 if we want to get exact. I don't know that that'll ever be reached again. That's crazy. That's crazy. So I think those 2 football streaks.
Well, what about 40 consecutive NCAA baseball tournament appearances?
And 40 straight 40-win seasons, right?
Yeah. I don't know.
Or 38?
Something like that. Because I think that's 17. Either the 19 team, that was like the last 4 in, right? That made it to Omaha.
Yeah, but I think they reached it because of those
wins.
6 extra wins they got in the postseason. I think he got to 40 in his last year. We can't look it up, though, guys, so whatever. It's fine. It looks like Aslan might be looking it up now. Yeah, man, I would still say football, but the baseball streak obviously is longer. It just didn't end with the championships. So at least Bowden got a couple of championships out of that streak. So I still want to go with the dynasty, the 87 to 2000. If you don't know, they finished – the football team, as Aslan shows his baseball right now. Were we right?
We were 40 plus wins that 2002 team. One day I'm going to get a couple of beers with Link. And I'm just going to do a video podcast. And we're just going to talk about the 2002 team that won 60 games and lost the Pulmonary and Notre Dame.
Yeah, that was a bummer. That was crazy. Yeah. That was crazy. They were number 1 like all season.
Yeah.
And then they got the Notre Dame's game. They lost to Notre Dame in game 1, which was surprising. They came back and beat them like 21-3 or something in game 2. And you're like, okay, they figured it out. They're done. Yeah. And then that kid on the game 3 just shoved. Yeah. I remember listening to that game because I lived in Gwinnett County at the time in Atlanta, in Georgia. And I listened to – it wouldn't have been Lulu back then, right?
It would have been
Lee Bowen, probably.
Lee Bowen, yeah.
I listened to the radio broadcast of that in 2002 on my computer. That's how old I am.
Yeah.
And I couldn't believe it. I think they only scored 1 run. That kid shoved. He was a Florida kid. But still, I would say the 14 straight. So Florida State from 87 to 2000 finished in the top 4 in the country every year and won at least 10 games every year. I finishing in the top 4 every year for a decade and a half is unbelievable. So that's still my streak that I would choose. But, yeah,
all right, so the 2 football 11s, 40 for 40. What about the what was it, 23 in a row that Jimbo won? Is that anywhere there?
29.
29.
Yeah, 29. That's right up there, man, because that included, that was basically 2 full seasons. Yeah. That's up there too. Winning 29 games in a row, and that was still modern era college football. Mm-hmm. It wasn't that long ago. Is really remarkable too. I also know they had a home. What about an individual streak, though? Is there an individual streak that comes to mind?
Well, I mean, no, because it has to be like a baseball kind of centric one. It can't be like starts in a row in football because I don't even know who's got the most consecutive starts. And then now with the COVID years, like certain guys are going to play 60 games, which is crazy in their careers. And I don't know if anybody from like diving has,
yeah, good point with the divers
podium, 10 times in a row or whatever. So that's tougher to think about like an individual streak. Has anybody had like, I don't even know that Richie Lewis guy I know he had a bunch of punch outs, but it wasn't like he had like 10 consecutive games with 15 or more punch outs or something.
Yeah,
so.
Nothing is coming to mind. I'm sure there's been a long hitting streak. I think Shane Robinson had a really long hitting streak on the baseball team.
Yeah.
I still think, honestly, I don't know. I think getting on base 18 or 19 times in a row,
it could be on there,
in high-level softball is more impressive than a long hitting streak because it's every at bat. You don't get a freebie to pop up or strike out. She's gotten on base every time, and I still can't remember what I was going to say about Issa. But she's really good.
She got hurt and then she came back and she's been better than ever. How's that?
She has been. Yeah, she's 24 or 27 since she came back from her injury. So.
By the way, it was Amber Schisler from Campbell in 2017. That consecutive streak, the 26. Is there
somebody below? Do you see a list?
I do not see a list.
So I wonder whose record she broke, because I can't imagine there's been more than two Power 4 softball players that have had a longer on base streak than this. And again, in a row, like getting on base in a row. She hasn't turned right towards the Florida State dugout after it. Oh, this was the question I was going to ask. In 5 games, what about a sac fly? Does that end the streak?
You tell me. You're the one that scores your kids' games sometimes. I don't know how to score baseball.
You're not getting on base. It's not an out. You're not making an out. I mean, you're not making an out statistically. Like, it doesn't count as an at bat. But it is a time at bay. It is a time at the plate, and you didn't get to first. So I would think that would count as ending the streak, a sac fly.
Oh.
Which shouldn't be. It wouldn't end like a hitting streak. Well, yeah, I guess it would. It's not a hit either. So, yes. Hey, Issa, if there's a runner on third, less than 2 outs, sac fly ain't getting it done. You need to get line drives. Don't think about sac flies.
So the young lady from Campbell got on base in every plate appearance in 6 straight games.
She reached safely in 26 straight plate appearances, which took place in 6 of Campbell's final 7 games. But yeah, it doesn't say who she beat out.
It doesn't show, yeah.
And also it's Campbell. They're not playing in the ACC. Right. God bless her. It's still an incredible streak, too.
Yeah. All right, there it is. Football Dynasty, football bowl appearances. Mike Martin, 40-40.
Yeah, we ran over the
Jimbo winning 29 in a row, and then Issa Torres reaching base. 20 sounds so much cooler. What pressure, man. Good gosh.
I don't think there's a that.
Do you think the girl from Campbell had any idea like she was,
of course not.
You know? That's the thing. Now we're putting it out there in the world for Issa, but don't listen to us, Issa.
Right.
Do your thing.
It's still probably an ACC record. That's all we're shooting for. It's an ACC record.
All right, there we go. That's a wrap for us. We made it. Long one. Sorry about that, everybody. But, some mailbags, what we do. I think Jeff's still on holiday or maybe taking a breather. I mean, there's no football going on right now, everybody. So
spring break.
We only talked about it because you folks had good questions, so we were able to talk about football. Warchant.com around the clock, though. Check it out. Maybe there'll be a roundtable or some sort over the weekend. Who knows? Maybe not. But football does start back up on Monday. We'll have a show for you folks on Monday. And in the meantime, subscribe to Warchant.com. It's 50% off an annual membership. You get entered when you drop your question to the Renegade Express mailbag. If it's the best question of the week, which we got to do right here, Corey, you get entered into the end of off-season giveaway for the ultimate tailgate. So
yeah,
I kind of liked Wes's question about the firing, but I feel like we're going to probably get 19 more of those between now and New Mexico State. So maybe we finally reward our guy, Big Steve-O.
I think, and we're not just pandering to him because he mentioned it. I think it was a thought-provoking question. It was a good question. I think that's a good choice. Big Steve-O, you did it.
Push the button for us, Corey. Give us the energy. There you go, everybody. That was Jermaine discussion sparked by Cummins. Our winner, Big Steve-O 22, gets entered into an end-of-month gift bag drawing from Cummins. T-shirts, cool gear, swag, things like that. But ultimately, an entry into the end of off-season giveaway for that ultimate tailgate giveaway. Hotel room, tailgate for 20, private bartender, tables, chairs. They're going to set everything up. They're going to break everything down. You get to pick the game too. So the power is yours, if you will. The power, none better, none stronger than Cummins. Subscribe to Warchant.com, 50% off an annual membership. Corey's probably flashed the deuces 10 times in the last 3 minutes I've been staring at the lens, so I'm gonna say goodbye once and for all. He's Corey. I'm Aslan. Thank you for listening to Wake Up Warchant, presented by Cummins. Follow Cummins Lifestyle on Instagram.